Hey, this is Matt once again with about 10 videos that are the paid requests, this time from Mark. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reviews, reactions, video game stuff, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. And this is for the film Exit Speed from 2008. Now, I didn't know what this film was, and then I saw the poster and I went, this DVD cover looks familiar. I think it's a DVD cover I saw back to the day when I worked at a video store called Mr. Movies. Because I worked there about 2007 to 2012 or so. And that would have been around the same time. But I never really watched it because the cover looked just generic. I will say though, after watching it, I thought it was pretty decent. That was a pretty decent film. It's not an awesome, underrated gem. But you know what? This film was pretty decent. I think, number one, the cast, for the most part, worked fairly well for what they had to work with. You have actors like Desmond Harrington, who I liked in the first Wrong Turn film, as this guy that's kind of stuck in this crazy situation who's a lot tougher than you think he would be. Leah Thompson from Back to the Future and Howard the Duck. Fred Ward, may he rest in peace, from Tremors 1 and 2, among many other films. Pretty much the story is you got 10 people, around 10 people on this bus. It's in Texas, and it's around Christmas time. And of the people, you have Desmond Harrington, who's a bit of a deadbeat dad, but he's trying to make amends. He wants to see his son, 4-year-old son, for the Christmas season. Leah Thompson's a single mom who's trying to get home to her kids. You have this female a soldier who's AWOL for being a deserter, and Fred Ward is the military cop looking for her. You have this lady who you find out is a LARPer, live action role player, likes to go out in the woods with others, with being wizards or sorcerer, elves, playing in that way, and she has a bow and arrow. She likes to draw graphic novels. You have this coach who's been fired, and so he's hot-tempered. You have this Mexican that doesn't speak English, but he's very handy, of a handyman. Even later on, he's a little bit like MacGyver. You have this horny couple that's trying to make it in the bathroom. So you have this collection of characters, and while they're on the bus, these bikers, they're fucking around. Like one guy standing on his motorcycle riding around, and they're messing and they're throwing bottles at the bus. Some of them are driving in the wrong lane, so the bus driver has to swerve, but it swerves to another of these bikers and they get run over. The bikers shoot some of the passengers, the rest escape on the bus. They take a detour, and then they're hiding out in this junkyard while they barricade it, and they're hidden there while these bikers are either waiting, trying to kill them, or waiting for more to come in. It becomes a little bit of a Rio Bravo, Assault on Precinct 13 type of situation. Now, there's a little bit of action at the beginning, most of the action is at the end. The middle kind of stalls because there's not really much, a few little bits here and there, but not much action in the middle. But what made the film work is, number one, it's a pretty short film. It's only like an hour and 31 minutes. So it goes by pretty quick. Number two, I thought for the most part the actors were fairly decent. Desmond Harrington was likable. I liked the female soldier. She wasn't butch bitch. She was just, trying to understand the situation, do the best that they can. Leah Thompson, it was nice to see her have a bit of fire and energy as the single mom, especially when she's going up against the coach who's being an asshole, and she fires back on him verbally. Will you just shut the fuck up? So I like Leah Thompson. I like Desmond Harrington. I like the female LARPer because she's being, again, these characters are for the most part being easygoing, nice, trying to understand what the situation is going on. Oh, you're good with the bow and arrow. Use that. I don't know if I could use that. I mean, to kill another human. I mean, hell, I'm a vegan. I don't know. But she's not being annoying or irritating. It's understandable how, the show, the repercussions of taking human life is not just simple, matter of fact. But as they explain, listen, they're animals, okay? They're not people. Yeah, remember that. And while this is happening, Fred Ward is looking for that female soldier, sees his weird biker, and starts following him in his vehicle. So it's always nice to see Fred Ward in there. He has decent amount of screen time in terms of like he's in the first scene with the female soldier and she escapes, and you see him in the car from time to time. But in the middle section, he doesn't really have much to do until a bit of the finale. So I wish Fred Ward had more to do, but it's nice to see him in there, and he gets some decent moments at the end. It's definitely a lot of actors that kind of work around with these characters, but they had enough of their characteristics that I still cared if they lived or died. Desmond Harrington's being matter of fact but nice about it. The female soldiers being controlling the situation but not being bitchy about it. The LARPers being unsure about taking human life, but she's not being an annoying, aggravating idiot about it either. The coach, at times, a bit too much of this hot-tempered asshole, but ultimately he does come around. And it gets to a point where Leah Thompson's going to make a run for it because she's a marathon runner. You find out that she's a survivor of breast cancer and she's a marathon runner, ran for charities and stuff. So she makes a run for it while the LARPer shoots bows and arrows. And there's some decent bits of violence. I didn't notice any CGI in this, which was nice. There's some decent practical action. Nothing PM Entertainment canon film worthy, but like when they're on the bus and being attacked, there's a bit where they go into the junkyard. I think there's like a boat in there as well, and it hits it and there's an explosion. There's some decent bits of violence. The LARPer's definitely good with a bow and arrow to the neck or through the head, out of the mouth. When people get shot, it's fairly bloody. There's one person that gets shot in the head. They're like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. Very nasty bullet hit. A lot of nasty headshots in this. Well, not a lot, but there's a couple of them. I like that the Mexican guy, like, they can't understand what he's saying, but they realize he's being a bit of MacGyver, so he built, like, this potato gun. You put anything you want and shoot stuff out of it. Each person seems to have their moments to not be useless. And like I said, the way they work together, like, the acting was pretty decent. I actually grew to not mind and like these characters. And that helps in this kind of movie. You get a decent cast for the most part. I mean, the couple, the horny couple, I'm indifferent on. Didn't hate them, I'm just indifferent on it. The coach got on my nerves a bit. But on the flip side, that was the whole point. They were probably the lesser actors, but the others did their jobs well. Well, I liked a bit where this funny little bit when Leah Townsend's about ready to leave, and Desmond Hampton gives her this knife. It's a toy rubber knife. And she's like, oh, in case I run into any rubber bad guys? No, there's a compass there. Oh, okay. Like, little asides like that. And I think it was nice to see Leah Thompson being a little bit of a badass mom and get a little bit of Fred Ward action. And like I said, Desmond Harrington I always liked ever since I saw him in Wrong Turn. Again, the female soldier, if this was made today, they'd have some kind of politics about women in the military. I don't buy it, and all this other shit. They thankfully don't do that shit in this. Because there ain't no fucking time for that shit. The Biters, interesting decision that they're mute, as in you never hear them talk. You never hear the Biters talk. Some went in, maybe that'll turn people off because there's not a lot of development on the bad guys in terms of personality, dialogue, characters, but it is an interesting choice that they, again, are they're meth smoking biters that don't talk. I think the way they dress, they could have maybe made them a bit more sinister looking. I imagine if they were like the bikers from Mandy, the Nicolas Cage film many years later, and they looked like really truly hell on wheels. I think they could have made the bad guys a bit more vicious and dangerous, since they're not going to have any dialogue to showcase it. But like I said, you tell they didn't have the biggest budget to work with this, but they did what they could. Spoiler alert, Leah Thompson does make it out. She has to fight this one girl, wrap barbed wire around her, and then suffocate her. Fred Ward's in trouble, so Leah Thompson comes up and slices a guy in the neck with a machete, and then Fred Ward shoots a guy. Practical blood squibs. At the end of the film, it's pretty much this battle where, well, it's two battles. There's one before that scene I mentioned where there's a couple people there, and Desmond Harrington and the LARPer and the soldier, they're coming in and kicking some bad guy ass, shooting them. Some shotgun, blood squib, fun. It's funny that this low budget film 2008 can do blood squibs, but bigger budget movies can't. So I find that kind of funny. That's when they're using the potato gun to shoot this flammable stuff. So they take care of the few bad guys there, but when reinforcements come, there's another bigger battle. Each one gets their moments to shine. Desmond Harrington's like, hey, motherfucker, should never come back, and shoots a guy in the fucking gut, and he flies back. The LARPer's getting some good bow and arrow into people's necks. The soldier's giving her time to shine. Leah Thompson, spoilers, as I said, this is spoilers. Leah Thompson, Fred Ward drive in, they crash in. She hits someone. Fred Ward comes in, shoots two people with a shotgun. And then the soldier saves him. Later on, Fred Ward appreciates that, lets the girl go, AWOL more so. And she leaves with Desmond Harrington and the female LARPer. It's a nice little film that, like I said, the characters were able to be differentiated enough for me to tell them apart and learn a little bit more about them and care a bit. I think the acting was decent. The bits of action was kind of like TV show quality, but more violent. Like, there's not a lot of style in the direction and the action work. Like I said, it's not a canon film, PM Entertainment action piece. The middle might seem to stall and be sluggish for people because there's not a lot happening in the middle. It's more about them trying to figure out where the bad guys are at, what are we going to do next, come up with a plan, getting to know each other type of thing. But like I said, because I didn't mind the cast and I grew to like the characters, that did help. And because it's a short enough film, it didn't drag its feet to be 2 hours. Because some films don't need to be 2 hours. Like, this was like an hour and 31 minutes. Boom. We're out of there. Cool. And so overall, I thought this was a pretty decent movie. It's nothing that's going to be amazing. But it's a lot better than the DVD cover makes it seem like. So, even like the bikers when they're riding, look like they know what they're doing. You're not going to get Solid PG-13. You're not going to get Rio Bravo. You're not going to get Hard Boiled or some crazy action biz. But like I said, I thought we'd like to see more Fred Ward. We'd like to see maybe a bit more action in the middle, maybe a bit more style in the direction. The music, I would say if anything kind of spelled kind of the low budget nature, like the music. Would have been nice if the music was, I don't know. The music at times felt like something I would see on a TV show. But yeah, I was kind of surprised how decent these actors were and how I grew to like these characters. So that does help. And like I said, he has some decent violent bits in there. Nothing crazy. That like, oh my god, his arm was cut off. Nothing that crazy, but some nice little violent bits with the arrows and the gunshots and things of that nature. Listen, if you liked any bits of this cast or such, it's worth a watch. I think it might be on Tubi. Actually, it might be on YouTube for free. If it's not on YouTube, it might be on Tubi. I think it's worth at least one watch. It's a pretty decent film. So with that said, rest in peace to Fred Ward. It was nice to see him in this. I wish he was like within the compound and maybe he was the star of the film and it was like him and the female soldier have to work together. I like Desmond Harrington, but I do wish Fred Ward was the lead. I'm being selfish on that, but I like Fred Ward. I'm a big fan. I miss the guy. May he rest in peace. It's sad. Recently, there's an announcement of Tremors 2 coming out from Arrow Video on a 4K Blu-ray pack because they did the first one. They're doing Tremors 2, and who knows? Maybe Fred Ward would not have done an interview anyway because he rarely did interviews. But it's sad that it's done after Fred Ward has passed away. So it is what it is. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.